What up, my freaks? Ruinous Insight here with another Battlefleet Gothic Armada 2 Skalgrim Mod ship spotlight. So, at this point in time, I believe, and please correct me if I've forgotten anything, I believe that we have moved through and taken a look and a brief analysis of every single ship that has been added or reworked to the Skalgrim Mod in the 2.0 version, which means this is now going to go back through other ships that were added before, i.e. this is not the end of the series. There have been plenty of ships that have been added over time, and many ships that I have not had personally yet experienced, and especially not used until I played those sub-mod campaigns. So there's plenty of content in this series to go. This is intended to be a full spotlight, and therefore we will take a look at every single new ship that is left, starting with, in this episode, the Tau Merchant Fleet and their new ships, then moving on to the Protector Fleet, the Tyranids, etc., and moving through backwards until we reach back to the Imperial Navy, who I believe everybody should be the most familiar with their new ships, as they do tend to get quite a lot of the spotlight. But anyway, this time the Tau Merchant Fleet is what we are going to be starting with. We're obviously going to go again with a quick analysis of the new ship, and then put it into some battles to see how it performs. Now, as for the new ship, it is the Star Spear, the only new ship for the Tau Merchant Fleet, I believe, and a fairly big Titan. In fact, so big that it is 3 times as expensive as the closest next ship, which is the Demiurge Stronghold, and not even a Tau ship, an auxiliary ship. So that is quite an insane investment into any Tau fleet. Otherwise, this ship does sort of conform to the yeah, you heard me. I'm real eloquent for these things, as always. It conforms to the sort of dynamic, or I suppose the methods that this particular faction uses, i.e. the Tau Merchant Fleet in particular in the Skalgrim Mod is much more of a carrier and special weapon focused fleet, i.e. torpedoes, missile launchers, and launch bays all over the place. Just taking a look at the 3 cruisers, we got torpedoes, we got carriers and torpedoes, and we got carriers and torpedoes with some weaponry, don't get me wrong, but those are all over the place. So that is something that those rely upon, and we do have 8 missile launchers, which is a crazy amount of damage output on the Star Spear, as well as 6 carrier slots, or 6 launch bays, which is, to be honest, for its cost, really not a lot. I mean, considering that we got 4 launch bays on a 100 cost cruiser, it should just be enough fighters to essentially be able to protect itself if it were to not have any kind of support in its fleet. Although, that having been said, I definitely recommend to have a support ship or a few support ships for this thing. In fact, if this wasn't a showcase, I would probably not bring the other carriers. I would most likely bring a couple Crude War Spheres just to tank for it. And the reason for that is, if you take a look, it actually shares the HP of 6250 with the Crude War Sphere, although with a considerably larger amount of shielding. But you gotta admit, this is very, very low for a 756 point vessel. So you definitely have to protect it. You definitely have to destroy the enemy as they approach you, and don't allow them to close the distance, essentially. Well, I mean, that's Tau ships in general, of course, but the Merchant Fleet will be very vulnerable if you allow them to approach. Now, having said that, there are some other considerations which will make this particular ship more tanky, which we'll get into in a second, but I do want to take a look at it first, other than comparing, because there's nothing really otherwise to compare it to. I suppose we can compare it to the other battleship here. But once again, in terms of point value, its hull is fairly fragile compared to the other battleship, and it does have a little bit more front armor, but otherwise the stuff is pretty much the same. I also just want to quickly point out that it is extremely slow, which is once again par for the course here, with the battleship moving at 130 and the Star Spear itself moving at merely 120. These things move at a glacial pace, so if they do get caught, you won't be able to really get away from the enemy. So you really want to destroy those enemies with your Barracudas, or rather with your Manta Ray or Manta Bombers, as well as your missiles and any supporting special weapons and carriers before they reach you. Otherwise, this thing looks pretty nice. It's got the double hulls of the of these 2 ships constructed, and I think because like, this wouldn't look right if it was a normal ship, but the big thing that this thing has is this antimatter lance, one massive weapon that does nearly 2,000 damage with 100% crit chance that it fires. So if you think of this thing sort of like an Omega, i.e. a ship that is essentially a floating gun, this is essentially just a giant floating rail gun with that antimatter lance. This is the same sort of thing that I've described the Omega as. So I do like that once again there is some similarity of design in that regard. Otherwise, it looks pretty cool, and I believe some of you guys have asked me to take a look at the various color schemes for the various ships, so let's just take a look at what it looks like in various schemes, just for the fun of it. Why not? Farside Enclave is obviously the best, or maybe I'm just biased to the Farside Enclave in general. And then let's see, Tau, that's the classic Tau, yellowish colors that you tend to see in artwork 99% of the time. And then sometimes you do get, I believe I've seen the white color scheme with the... although I think that I've seen the white color scheme with the red highlights instead of yellow before, but I could be mistaken. But anyway, those are the color schemes. We're just going to go with the classic Tau color scheme because this is their big old Titan, and I feel like the capital would be more likely to have a few of these in their possession, or at least than comparatively smaller enclaves. Anyway, now let's take a look at its weapon. We've discussed the fact that it has speed. I do want to also mention that, unfortunately, considering its size, it only has a 9,000 identification range, which is very, very small. Few Titans, especially few ships that have an insane cost like this, have an identification range that is this short. Yeah, that's definitely something you have to be aware of and something you have to... compromise with, or otherwise use other ships like escorts or maybe an auger probe in order to make sure that this can actually see what it's firing at. Because you want to have that antimatter lance firing at ships that are big targets. You don't want to waste it on freaking... escorts and garbage little light cruisers and stuff like that. Pop Titans, pop battleships, maybe pop battle cruisers and cruisers with one hit if you really want to, although probably not orky ones, but still, definitely don't want to waste those shots. So identify the enemy, and that's why this thing will need support ships and can't really generally, I think, act on its own unless you're really careful with auger probes and the way you play. In addition to that, as I said, because of its speed, it's going to have a difficult time repositioning or getting away, and on top of that, it also has its front armor at 83, a very weak rear armor at 50, plus that adaptive deflector, which increases the frontal armor as heavy as long as the generator is functional. You gotta keep this thing facing forward, essentially basically never reposition it, and just keep firing with that antimatter lance, as it's absolutely critical that it never stops. Otherwise, it's got, as I said, six launch bays, standard launch bays at that, enough to protect it, and a bunch of missiles. This is the other portion of the damage that it can output. The 8 missile launchers is pretty damn insane, and if they don't get shot down by fighters, you can absolutely cripple enemy Titans with that amount of missiles alone. So you definitely want to make sure that your fighters are also protecting the missiles and not just the ships, so that you can actually get that damage out there and kill the enemy before they get to you. Otherwise, it does have 5 railgun turrets, which actually do output a fairly considerable amount of damage at mid-range at 13,500 with the 136 damage and 2 attacks, and 5 of them. It adds up. That can add up to quite a little bit, although I do want to point out that the railguns are macro weapons, and therefore they do suffer at a distance in terms of the range. Definitely got to make use of that lock-on stance if you want these things to be hit and stuff, unless you're close, and you really don't want to be close with this ship. Finally, a heavy ion cannon coaxial to do... I'm actually not sure how this weapon works yet, because 24 reload time seems like a lot. Now, this thing's range is fairly small, so it's probably meant to protect the ship just in case stuff gets close, but otherwise, I think... if you're firing these things, you're probably not in a good place already. So not entirely sure how much value this thing does give you, although it is a precise weapon, so there is still that to consider. But the damage is certainly there. 175 x6 is pretty damn good. Now, this thing is a heavy hitter. There is no doubt about that. Let's, in fact, now, I think, see how it performs. I don't believe anything else is really all that important here. It doesn't have lightning strike. It has poor troop efficiency, just like the rest of the Tau, but that's just Tau in general. They're shooty, not stabby. That's not surprising. Here we go. Let's go back to the fleet builder, and I just want to briefly touch on the fleet here. In various ways. First of all, we need messengers because, as I said, the identification range of the ship is garbage. And honestly, all of the Tau ships are reliant on auger probes or the well, now I was about to say messengers or the escorts to identify stuff for them because they do have that garbage sensor. And I'm honestly surprised that their sensor technology is weaker than the Imperium's. Come on, Tau. Well, I guess give them a couple hundred years more, and I'm sure that they will out-censor the Imperium by virtue of their innovation by far. So the Tau are young as yet. Finally, I was about to say escorts, but, well, sort of. The supporting ships on this fleet are just a bunch of these Tolku cruisers, and the reason I brought them was because, similar to the capital ship, they have launch bays and torpedoes, although torpedoes not missiles, but still. Wait, you have heavy seeker missile barrage. Wait, so this is a torpedo launcher, but these are missile launchers. So I take it that's because these things fire into the sides, whereas these things fire forward. I assume that's what that means. So yeah, anyway, very similar sort of idea here with the launch bays and the torps. Yeah. Alrighty, and that's why we've brought those. I mean, I could have gone with a fleet that was just this ship, but I felt like that might have been too small of a battle with only 756 points. Anyway, here we're bringing the supercharged void shield. As we saw, we want to keep that frontal armor up and being heavy as long as possible. And on top of that, when you have one big ship that's basically your entire fleet, you really can't go without the supercharged void shield. In addition to that, we're going to be bringing the gravity wave projector. I was vacillating between the auger probe and the gravity wave projector. I feel like we'd probably get more value out of the auger probe or the multi-spectrum probe. Fancy name for the Tau, of course. But at the end of the day, I think that maybe we're better off with the gravity wave projector just in case an enemy does get close so we can push enemies away. Really don't want to be in close combat, especially as I did not bring any auxiliary vessels to tank for us and thus need to keep the main ship safe. Finally, we're going to get some targeting coordinators to buff up our lock-on stances for our ships because we are bringing some escorts to make use of that, and then the Vanguard Void Battlesuit to buff up the Manta Bombers, mostly because nothing else is really all that useful here. We can't use Watercast Diplomat because we don't have any auxiliary ships. We're probably not going to be moving any at all, really, so with the inability to reposition, I really don't think it's all that useful bringing any of the movement traits. Another option would have been to get an emission dissipator and move, but in combination with an auger disruptor probe. But once again, because the ship faces forward, I really don't feel like it's going to benefit too much from that. But I could be wrong. I will test it out further. But first, let's launch. We're going to be against the Space Marines. That's probably one of the most difficult matchups. Oh, that's going to be fascinating because if they board us, we're screwed. Oh yeah, alright, I like this. I like this very much. Let's do it. 1200 exactly, a classic battle. Let's see how the Tau can handle it. I'd really like for them to bring a Titan. I want to see how that antimatter lance cripples Titans, and I want to see whether the missiles can take care of it as well. Although we do probably expect a decent amount of carriers on the enemy fleet as well. Here we go. And it's a pretty big ship. It's a pretty big ship. I do remember it dishing out the hurt in the Imperial and Necron campaigns. For those who watch it and wondering, wait, what the hell is hurting us so much? And it was these things a couple of times. Yeah. All right, I really like it. I really like the way it looks when the hull is dark and can't quite see it. But all ships look amazing like that. And all of its support ships, you guys stay behind it, I think. Stay behind it so that you don't get hit by missiles. Like so. We also have a couple targeting coordinator ships that are going to stay with us, at least for now. And actually, that makes me think that because we have the targeting coordinators, maybe we really and we probably want to keep them alive. Maybe we should get auger probes in addition. No, but the gravity wave projector is probably going to come in handy. Nah, you know what? I'm just going to go with the original thing anyway. Alright, and I believe we're going to set you into running silent and then everybody else here into lock-on, and I do believe everybody can fire most of their stuff forward. Not great range, I will admit, but you know what? Maybe even move like this, so as long as you're not getting hit by those missiles, we're gonna be okay. Gonna have to watch out for Nova cannons, especially since you can't really escape. Ready up. Ready up and get to it. Alright, you guys, get ready to barrage with those missiles, and oh, it looks like no Titan from the enemy fleet. Okie dokie. Alright, well, you move up. And I want to double check. Are they launching fighters? They are, but there aren't that much. Okay, so here's what we want to do. You're going to launch fighters. You two, find the enemy ships for us. Go fighters, fighters, and then you fighters as well. Fighters, fighters. Let's see what we should launch our missiles at. Maybe you can go group 1, you guys can go group 2. I want to see if that dark matter lance or antimatter lance, it does get increased, the range does get increased by lock-on, which is interesting. In fact, while it would probably benefit us, considering it has a massive 30-second cooldown, it would probably benefit us to make use of reload. I feel like because we have the heavy ion cannon coaxials, which are otherwise at a mere 4,500 range, we should probably make use of the increased distance. So, alright, well, you stay here. Get ready with those missiles, guys. All of you together. Just wait until you spot the enemy ships. Come on. Okay, they're going to launch some boarding torps, so that's why we maintain some of our own fighters. If we can find a battleship. And come on, come on. Ah, hello. Hello, Admiral. Missile barrage. Here we go.
Drones have identified an enemy target.
Yeah, alright, you better not get in the way of the freaking missiles. Oh, you just got marked up, and in fact, ooh, I'd like to mark up the enemy. What is that? Are you dropping a plasma bomb or a disruptor bomb on us? Interesting. Interesting. Well, unfortunately, I got you killed already. Identify these guys. Try to get away. How are we for more missile barrages? Getting there. Have you recovered your flights of... No. Alright, missiles. Missiles are going to... Oh, you're going to move right in front of those. Oh, it was a pretty nice hit, though. Look at the damage. I'm still pretty happy with that. Now, you guys, go into auto-engagement mode, but stay exactly where you are. No. Fire on a #1 target and #1 target. Kill the big ships first. All of you... Oh, you're getting boarded already. That ain't so good. Everybody, launch missiles at the Admiral. Oh, we got some missiles that have, well, missed. That's why they call them missiles. You guys, try to board the enemy with mantas. Oh, our fighters haven't come back, have they? Oh, well. Then, launch this stuff. Wait, are you guys facing sideways? No. Face forward. Oh, you gotta be kidding me, ships. You gotta be kidding me. I did not realize that. And you know what? Let's slow down. And oh, down it goes. Damn, I wanted to see the destruction of the actual ship, but there, the missiles are dishing it out. Now we just need to hit you with that dark matter lance, and we'll be golden. I really wish we could see like how long it would take to charge it up. You might charge us. Wait. Oh, it might be... Huh, I guess this ship is bugged. I don't actually see the supercharged void shield or anything like that here, huh? Well, that's disappointing. That is disappointing indeed. Well, you're gonna get close and you're gonna board us, and I don't think we can hit you with any more missiles. Well, there is another ship moving in. We'll hit the other one. It is an Aegis, so yeah. Alright. We'll fight you at close range. Come on, if we can hit that with that lance, we'll rip it apart. Come on, come on. I want to see it fire. Otherwise, it's not taking a lot of damage. Just sort of like parked in front of us. Really unfortunate that you didn't have the... there we go. Down it goes. Down it goes, and we have another ship to attack. So you guys face it this way now, and more heavy secret missile barrages. Here we go. I think this is working out pretty well, considering we are not particularly good against the Space Marines. All right, and the enemies are in range, and well, at least this ship should get ripped apart. Come on. I want to see that. Okay, hopefully that was not the antimatter lance, was it? This ship was targeted, but it might have not hit it. Let's see how much damage these missiles do. See, some pop into the massive amount of enemy turrets, but... Oh yeah, look at that. The missiles. And there we go, that might have been the lance because this thing just dies like that. Very good, actually. The enemy is being ripped apart long before they can do anything, really. And I think this is the last ship on the field. Well, more missiles. One last set as this thing gets close. Hopefully they don't turn around and hit us. They're gonna board us a little bit. Yeah, these things. Oh, and look at those missiles. Oh yeah. Oh no. Oh no. No. A taste of our own medicine. I don't like it. Oh, okay, that's a danger that I hadn't thought of using the missiles when you're up close. Just destroying yourself with them, especially considering how fragile the Tau ships are. Accidentally hitting yourself with missiles is kind of bad, but I would actually be interested to see a, like, for example, like a Conqueror or a Render or something, enemy fleet launching their missiles at you, and you just booking it right back to them, and then abruptly stopping, and then turning away right before an enemy ship, like a Titan. That would take some amazing micro, but man, would it feel good. Alrighty, so that's one battle. I'd like to take these things into two, so let's try it again. Let's take it against a ship, a fleet that can actually do long distance damage to us. And in fact, the Adeptus Mechanicus is very, very similar to what we do with their missiles and their Omega artillery. So let's do that, because then these two fleets would be very, very opposite, and that's generally what I like to do with these showcases. One more time. One more time. Oh, I probably should have changed up the upgrades considering we can't use them. Well, if we can't use them, oh, we can still change them here. I wonder if it's all the upgrades or just some of the upgrades that they're not able to use. Like, for example, let's try to change you, Supercharged Void Shield, although you would be really useful in this particular situation. And let's change the gravity wave projector to an auger probe, or multi-spectrum. Fine, multi-spectrum probe game. Are you happy? You proud of yourself? Okay, there we go. Let's set everybody up here. Get ready to launch those missiles. You a little bit more forward. You got a tank for everybody, I guess, anyway. In this particular situation, because of your prow. You are all going to, well, you're running silent. You're all into lock-on. You are all going to go into forward-facing, because you have a forward-facing weapon. The double-barrel heavy gun, railgun artillery. I don't know why you are automatically an engagement tackle, especially considering that you have torpedo launchers on top of that fire from your front instead of from your sides. And oh, I remember this weird appearance for these ships. Yeah, I remember Skalgrim made a note of this particular ship being bugged, but I honestly feel this doesn't look too bad. It almost looks like these things are part of the, what's it called, a strobe field or something like that the Tau have when they move fast, or some sort of holographic thing, almost like a mini holo field that the enemy has, or a partial cloak or something like that. So I think it's not too bad. Oh, and I just realized there's debris all over here. You know what? Let's move over here instead. I'm glad I took a look. You gotta watch out for that debris. It can be pretty annoying. All right, so you guys are gonna go like here and set you up here as well. Little tiny escorts provide that targeting coordinator for us. Right here, as well as the extra identification range. Oh wait, you guys don't have an extra identification range, you do. And what was I gonna, oh, I already switched that. All right, you guys can all be, you know what, all of you can be group 1. I'm happy with that, go. And you're all in lock-on, ready up. Will they bring a bigger Titan this time? Damn, I wanted to hit like a really big Titan. Oh, well, oh, but your multi-spectrum probe does work. Huh, interesting. It's just your, okay, so I take it some abilities then work and some don't. Well, that's interesting. Okay, we need to reorient ourselves though. Let's move you here and let's move you here. Probably could have actually hid in the asteroid fields, but whatever, too late. Not a big deal either way. All right, well, I'm really disappointed that your supercharged void shield doesn't work then.
At your orders,
wait, how do Tau shields even work? I just thought of that, because are they void shields or are they some different kind of shields? I gotta Google this now. Or I really should have looked that up, just out of curiosity. All right, everybody else. So let's launch some. Well, it is the AdMech. We would like to see which ships are the bigger ships. So we could wait for this to set up. We could also hit them with some Manta bombers as well. They don't have a lot of fighters. You know what, honestly, if they don't have a lot of fighters, we could just risk it and send them out to, let's say, considering what you just did, I'm pretty sure you're a bigger ship. So let's hit you with bombers. No, let's hit you with bombers. And let's hit you with a ton of missiles. Oh, we actually have to identify you with missiles? Okay, fine. We'll wait for that a few seconds. Not to worry. Manta bomber should take care of it for us. And come on, identify that ship. You're set up, I believe. You know, let's just speed it up a little bit. And I'll try to slow it down to actually get some nice shots this time. It's just that the last fight just concerned me greatly.
Drones have identified an enemy target.
Not drones, but nice try, game. Let's launch another one right here in front of us. Really want to keep an eye out on what's happening. Probes, not drones. Oh, wow, a lot of little ships. Oh, this is actually a very interesting fleet that the enemy brought, just because this is probably the worst kind of fleet for us to face. Huh, interesting. All right, come on, please identify that ship already. Come on, there we go. Oh, we see their admiral here, but I'm gonna hit you. You are a Scutarius. I definitely don't want you near us. You launch those fighters again. The enemies are in call to arms because we got a bunch of manta bombers on them, so that ability did work out quite nicely. And it's time for you guys to fire. Let's select number 1 targets as their big ships, and that's an Achilles. Oh, we're gonna get a Nova Cannon. Ah, they're using it here. Okay. Number 2 target, number 1 target, and cripple your engines, I guess. All right, how about you guys? Launch more mantas, I think at this ship this time. Oh, did they shoot down our missiles? No, they didn't, All right, at least their tiny little ships are getting wrecked. Our missiles are moving in, and I fear for the enemy, they will not be able to shoot them down. Therefore, this Scutarius Ark is going to have a pretty bad day. Here we go, and a bad day it was. Oh man, I'm really enjoying these missiles, even though they're a little bit on the obnoxious side. They're quite nice. You guys, auto engagement mode, please cancel your orders, and I think we can just watch the rest of the combat here. We got mantas moving in. The enemy light vessels are getting ripped apart. Well done. Alrighty, so that's the Tau Merchant fleet for you. As I said, carrier capacity, missiles / torpedoes all over the place. It's nice. This is, I suppose, a quintessential sort of fleet for them. And a lot of our mantas will go down, but they should still be able to dish out the damage here. Yeah, there we go. There we go. They look really cool because they're much bigger. They're almost like half the size of escorts. All right, how'd we do here? Ooh, call to arms, and the missiles are coming in. You guys are moving right past them. That ship is done for. Now if we could just hit this admiral's ship. Ooh, so close. It was really, really close. We're gonna get hit with a... Oh, we're gonna get hit with a bomb. Oh, well. Oh. Okay, well, let's do this. Mantas right here, and right here. You. Let's do this. Alrighty, well, otherwise I think this battle is pretty much over. We even have more missiles remaining. I don't know if there's any point to... You know what, I guess we could launch 1 set of missiles at you. These guys are all just gonna get ripped apart by our weaker weapons, and it's not like we care about the escorts. Yeah, you're done for. There goes their admiral. Wow, the Tau Merchant's fleet is quite strong in smaller battles. I would be curious to see how they perform in larger battles, however. Because we're completely unharmed. Yeah, I think the Tyranids would also be a very, very dangerous matchup for them. But otherwise, great job, Tau. We got some crude missile pods on our other ships as well. And I'm just pointing that out because, you know, those are crude weapons. Alright, you are done, little escorts. Keep firing on them. There we go, although I still want a number 1 target. You just fired your lances at them, didn't you? Alright, missiles going in for that Arc Mechanicus, and... Yeah, and I think we've been overkilling with the missiles. In fact, we could have probably even spread that out more to not even allow the enemy ships, although we basically came out of this completely unharmed. A devastating amount of firepower from all this, and then 1 more set of mantas, and I think one more set of missiles coming in. Special weapons. Here we go. Ooh, you suffered a crit to one of your missile pods. It doesn't matter because your missiles are done anyway. Last little cruiser here. Getting a lesson in superior technology. Here come the missiles. The first few, plus the mantas probably destroyed it. Plus it was boarded by the mantas as well. And just like that, the victory is ours. Pretty enjoyable and pretty, I think... pretty deciding on the firepower at long distance, especially when the enemy did not have a lot of carrier capacity itself. I think it would have been dangerous to... The most dangerous, just having come off of this test, most dangerous battles would have been the Tyranids. Because a lot of their smaller ships would have been able to absorb the missiles, unless they brought like 2 Titans and nothing else. The Necrons, because they would have been able to shoot. Yeah, this would have been horrible against the Necrons. Man, imagine that. All of our missiles and all of our carrier capacity just being obliterated. That's like a true rock, paper, scissors sort of effect, because we would be able to do almost nothing unless we really perfectly baited out everything they had. I think our weapons would not have been nearly enough. Plus, on top of that, they have long range long-range attacks that outrange most of the stuff that our fleet has in terms of their weaponry, i.e. the long-range weapons belong to the Tau Protector fleet, and on top of that, they have shield penetration abilities with various weapons. So yeah, Necrons, the height, then probably Tyranids, just by virtue of the mobs and the boarding capabilities, and the fact that they like to ram fragile ships. And then finally, I think, interestingly enough, the Eldari, because they would have been able to destroy our carrier capacity very easily, i.e. their fighter swarms and their turrets would have been able to handle our stuff, and therefore they might have been able to take out our missiles before they hit their ships, and if that was the case, that would have been weak. Although I think against the Eldari it would have been 50-50. Plus you also got to remember that the Eldari are very glass cannony, or at least the Corsairs are very glass cannon, and the Drukhari to a degree as well. Very fast, so they would be able to close the distance quickly, and they would be able to dish out a lot of damage. Plus, they have their own torps as well. So, quite dangerous, but probably not nearly as dangerous as the Necrons would be. Anyway, that's it for the showcase. Plenty more to go. I do believe we'll be moving on to the Tau Protector fleet's new ships next time, and there are more than one, as I recall, so that'll be fun, and then keep moving through these spotlights. So with that said, as always, don't forget to leave a like and a comment for your friendly and neighborhood heretic. All glory to the algorithm. And thanks for watching.